Eliminate the action item log now. Play the intro. Hey guys, ECRG here. Today we're talking about the action item log and why you should eliminate it now. It is one of those things that have been used in clinical research and probably so many other industries where you are having to balance a lot of tasks. You're working in a team atmosphere, and it is meant, on paper at least, to help people remember what tasks they are doing and who are assigned to those tasks, and usually there's a due date there. So we've done a tutorial on how to maintain an action item log. If you want to, you can go back and look at that one now. It was done a couple months ago, and there was a good tutorial, but so we show you in that tutorial how to maintain it and use it and all that stuff, but it always does not get used like that, especially in project management. So in other sections of clinical research, maybe you're in clinical operations, maybe you're in finance or something like that, it may be able to be used more effectively. But in project management, managing all the different functional groups, managing everything, I've come to the term that it is no longer being used as it should and should therefore be eliminated. So I'm going to give you a few reasons here as to why it should be eliminated. And if these reasons can be rectified, then maybe it can be brought back. Or maybe your team does it a little bit differently, and we'll look for that in the comment section below. But we're going to talk about some of those snag points and why for most people there's no more use for it. So the first major problem with the action item log is it's not used how it's supposed to be used. So what is an action item log? The action item log, as I mentioned earlier, is basically a list in an Excel spreadsheet or some form of tracking mechanism that determines who on the team is responsible for what, and there's usually a due date. So just plain and simple. So what is the workflow for this? Well, the workflow should be at the end of a meeting, an internal or sponsor meeting, people are able to refer to this action item log and keep up to date on what they have to do throughout the week or throughout the day, and be able to update it with their comments and when they are able to successfully complete the action item log. Not so much rely on one person to do all the updating for them and rely on them to follow up with them and all that jazz. That's how it would work in a perfect scenario. But of course, the world is not a perfect place and teams aren't always perfect. So what usually ends up happening is the action item log gets done, it gets sent out to the team, no one responds to it, no one provides updates to it, no one even really so much as looks at it, and basically what happens is one person is there left to follow up with each individual person on a team. Now, you know, these teams can be small or they can be huge. Either way, it takes a lot of effort to do that, so it takes a lot of that one person's time to do that, and they have to go person by person and fill out the action item log, put in the updates where it should not even have to come to that. And the reason why it can be removed here is people aren't using it for what it was supposed to be used for. People are already usually really good at knowing what they need to do by when, because if they weren't doing it, then people would know who's responsible, because the clinical trial would come to a screeching halt if something wasn't done. You know? So, I mean, if the plans, does the project manager need to really be reminded that it's time to, work on the project management plan? Does the TMF lead really need to be reminded to work on the TMF plan? So, I mean, if these things aren't done, then the clinical trial isn't going to be able to move forward. There's going to be a huge snag point, like, okay, where's the plan? Where it's time to sign it? And, people are usually really good about knowing when it's time to do things and when and why they should be done. And an action item log is just no longer really necessary, especially for those smaller type things like this person needs to follow up with this person by this date. People know what they need to do, and people are usually really good about doing what they need to do. So it's not used. It's more used as just a checklist on the back end. which is unnecessary because we have that in the minutes. That's what the minutes are for. So the second reason why there's a major problem with the action item log is it's too long and cumbersome. Right after a kickoff meeting or an introductory meeting to the trial, there's going to be like 30-40 action items to be done. And it becomes very hard to update these because there's constantly being new ones added on a weekly basis with each meeting. There's weekly meetings usually. There's new ones added on a weekly basis. And it can get long. I've seen action item log get to 100 lines, go 100 different items that haven't been checked off yet. And then it gets too long and cumbersome. And then the team has to go there and spend time to check it off. Like, the items are done because we wouldn't have been able to move forward if they weren't done. But we have to spend time to go back and check off the box and add any comments and all this stuff when it's just completely unnecessary and takes way too much time. It's not just that one person who, like a project coordinator or a CTA, who's gonna have to do it. The whole team has to stop what they're doing and worry about this stupid action item log. When people are doing their work, people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, there's no need to have that action item log to take up so much time. And I've noticed this on every single team I've worked with. The action item log gets pushed to the back burner because there's obviously more and more important things to work on than that stupid log, because no one's really using it how it should be used. And it just blows out of proportion, where if you just eliminated it completely, I'm sure there would be no reason to really track in people's individual action items. So it becomes too long and cumbersome, and which invariably means it takes up way too much time to correct it. And what's really something that should not have to be corrected at all. So all in all, the third major problem with the action item log is it ends up being busy work. It just ends up being busy work because you're not really reminding people, oh, like, I forgot to do that, let me check up on that. People know what they need to do. They're already on top of it. Most people don't need to be reminded what they have to do, especially if you're part of a functional group like TMF lead. You're supposed to be doing TMF stuff. Like, if you're in data management, you're supposed to be doing the data management stuff. Maybe if it was the project manager and they have so much different things going on, but even the project managers know what they need to do. So there's no need for this action item log. Going there, having the project coordinator go chase around people, or the clinical trial assistant, or whoever is in charge of the action item log, chase around people just to, check off the box, is a waste of time. It's a huge waste of time and ends up being busy work. And, there's still other work for that person to do. They're taking time away from that to do this stupid action log. So most people are afraid to remove it, but they know it should be removed completely. Most people would agree with that, because I'm sure it's annoying having that person reach out to you every week to follow up with your tasks that you've already done. People are busy. There doesn't need to be a layer of busy work added on to it. And I think if we eliminated the action item log, there would be no deficit. There'd be no cons to it. And people would be a lot happier that somebody wasn't annoying them about it. And, it would free up a lot of time for people on the study. So I'm curious what you guys think about the action item logs. Do you think it's helpful? And now I'm specifically talking about in the project management sphere here with the action item log, the way it's done there. Other functional groups like clinical operations or something may be a little bit easier to follow along, and it may be a little bit less formal. And it may not be as long of an action log, but the formal action item log that's done in project management needs to be removed, in my opinion. So I'm curious what you guys think. Maybe there's an amendment we can, maybe there's a way to amend this process so it's not so time consuming and it seems like busy work and wasteful. So I'm curious what you guys say in the comment section down below. So as always, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Go ahead, don't forget to like and subscribe. Email us at eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com. And that's it for today's video, guys. Take care.